But there seems to be an interesting activity of Atta a year prior through Germany and Europe, as the alleged Prague connection between Iraq and Al-Qaeda came through an alleged meeting between Mohamed Atta at the Iraqi consulate in April of 2001. Until late 2004, many believed Atta traveled to Prague for one day on May 30th, 2000. Nobody claimed he met Ahmed Samir al-Ani, the counsel of the Iraqi embassy in Prague, at a cafe there at that time, except for conservative columnist Andrew C. McCarthy, who wrote in the National Review that his trip was considered suspicious. Atta was apparently detained because he did not have a travel visa, but was not picked up on airport surveillance. However, the Chicago Tribune reported in August 2004 that it was a different Atta who traveled to Prague in May 2000, a Pakistani businessman also named Mohamed Atta, who spells his name differently from the official hijacker, and was turned away because he lacked a visa. The hijacker Mohamed Atta, whose travel papers were in order, went to the Prague airport a couple of days later on his way to Newark, creating confusion some more. Brian Whitmore, Boston Globe correspondent, stated at the end of his article September 19, 2004, a 9/11 legacy, confusion over a name checks find error in tracking Atta. On June 2nd, the hijacker Mohamed Atta, who had a visa, arrived in Prague by bus from Cologne, Germany, and flew to Newark the next day. Video surveillance cameras at a Prague bus terminal showed him playing slot machines at the station's Happy Days casino before disappearing. The confusion over the two different Attas had serious consequences, according to Czech reporter Brian Canetti, as it laid the groundwork for suspicious claims by Czech authorities of a secret meeting in Prague between Atta, the hijacker, and an Iraqi intelligence agent. The Chicago Tribune on August 29, 2004, reported that a man from Pakistan named Mohamed Atta, spelling his name with two M's rather than one, flew to the Czech Republic in 2000, confusing the intelligence agency, who thought it was the same Mohamed Atta, according to Jiri Ruzek, the former head of the BIS, in the Czech newspaper Mlada Fronta Dnes, September 3, 2004. This information was verified, and it was confirmed that it was the case of the same name. That is all that I recall of it. Opposition leaders in the Czech Republic have publicly called this a failure on the part of Czech intelligence. It's interesting that according to the official story, Atta is supposed to have first moved to the U.S. in the summer of 2000, but according to a book by Jürgen Roth, described as one of Germany's top investigative reporters, that in February of 2001, Mohamed Atta and two associates, one of them being a Pakistani Air Force pilot, applied for a job with Lufthansa Airlines at the Frankfurt airport in Germany, which would give him access to secure areas of that airport, but apparently none of them are able to get the job. How is Atta supposed to be the ringleader, operating, or mastermind of the 9/11 conspiracy in the U.S. when he's applying for a job in Germany, which will require residing there? But there is another possibility that there may have been two different Mohamed Attas within the United States and during the time of the attacks, and there are anomalies to support it, other than with the potential of the unusual route of travel through Maine. CNN reported May 22, 2002, that sources claimed that Atta and al-Amari may have been in New York City on September 10th to make a final visit to the World Trade Center to program the tower's location into a global positioning system. The article also indicates that there were 27 credit cards traced to the 19 hijackers, and that at least 4 GPS devices may have been pre-purchased for each targeted hijacked flight. But a much more conclusive example of another Atta being at a different place comes from early reports covering the trails of the Dragnet investigation in the state of Maryland.
And ABC 7 News has learned that residents of the nearby Valencia Motel late yesterday identified in an FBI photo lineup this man, Mohamed Atta, the suspected terrorist leader. They say he was one of 5 suspicious men staying in this room until last Monday morning.
Every night they be coming out. They sketch, have a long sheet of paper, making sketches.
It looked like they were planning.
Yeah, planning, right.
If the idea of Mohamed Atta is accurate and he was here, the significance to the investigation would be enormous. Because taken with the hotel records, it would mean that the hijackers of 3 of the flights were in this one town. In Laurel, Brad Bell, ABC 7 News.
This report from September 18th on ABC WJLA seems to indicate that Atta was witnessed being at a motel room in Maryland up until Monday on September 10th, which would have made it impossible for him to have been in Boston simultaneously already in preparation with 2 rental cars, about to drive off the unnecessary route to Portland with al-Amari. as what the official story says, or what publications say now, as with the Boston Sun in 2006. Maryland was among last stops for hijackers. Before they crashed seized planes and changed the world, the September 11th terrorists, at least 7 of the 19, lived out their last days in Maryland, lifting weights, washing clothes, looking at pornography, buying groceries, and polishing their flying skills. 5 left the state September 10, spending a final night in Virginia before boarding American Airlines Flight 77 at Dulles Airport and crashing into the Pentagon. 1 departed September 9, drove to Newark, New Jersey, and got on United Airlines Flight 93, which crashed into rural Pennsylvania after a struggle between passengers and hijackers. Mohamed Atta, the ringleader, flew in on September 7 and flew out September 9. However, until there's some clarity brought about these reports in Maryland, there is still the potential of a second Atta, as it also says that when he flew from Baltimore to Boston, he went to go meet Marwan al-Shehhi, where the two spent the night together at the Milner Hotel in downtown Boston.
3 weeks ago, Atta used the American Airlines website to buy a one-way business class ticket on Flight 11. And tonight, we now know in the 2 days preceding the fatal flight that Atta, or someone using his credit card, not only traveled through South Florida and Portland, Maine, but Dateline has learned that he also visited Baltimore, Maryland. Investigators are trying to determine the significance of that stopover or any connection it has to another person with the same last name on the FBI's watch list.
But that official Boston rendezvous scenario with Atta and al-Shehhi on September 9th is already a time window being challenged starting from Florida, as it's widely known that the staff from Shuckham's Oyster Pub and Seafood Grill in Hollywood, Florida, claimed they recognized Marwan and Atta drawing attention to themselves, having been in the restaurant on Saturday, September 8, 2001, the day before Marwan is supposed to fly to Boston. And as we pointed out earlier, Argenbright employee Eric Gill, working at Dulles Airport in Virginia, just outside of Maryland, had an encounter with al-Shehhi and fellow Flight 175 hijacker Ben Hamad at some point on September 10th.